Raider! Oakland, LA, Oakland, Vegas, Raider Nation, wherever, forever! You got your old Uncle Mosh and Raiders Fan Radio from Murph's Fan Cave, taking a lighter journey into the dark side. Sit back, put your feet up, pop a top, and enjoy the ride. Here we go!
Look left, look right, Kolesnikov, a leaking pass, touchdown!
We miss you, we love you, and we'll see you in the Hall of Fame.
When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players, you have a great organization, and you tell them one thing, just win, baby.
Way up the middle, intercepted Filipiano at the 50, time running down, Oakland football, and I think Oakland victory.
The Oakland Raiders have scored on the most zany, unbelievable, absolutely impossible dream of a play. Well, I love this team. I think this team can win. I think this team can win.
All right, here we go. Round two, Raider Nation. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay for episode number 110 of Raiders Fan Radio. If something's not working, then please certainly let us know. And if it doesn't, then I'm just going to pull my chair up over there next to you, Uncle Mosh, and I'll do the show from the southern annex of the Murph's Fan Cave desk. So
Hey, we'll go old school. I'll interview you.
Yeah. There we go.
Hold the mic.
Yeah. Well, maybe like Mean Gene used to do, right?
Hey,
there you go, brother.
We'll talk about that later.
I don't want to sell the lead. So anyway, welcome to episode number 110.
Q-Dog says episode 110 is already a classic. Yeah, it is.
I know, right? Yeah. Well, look, the audio portion of the show is going to be okay. So we're good there. We'll just keep this a podcast one way or the other. We'll go through it because our audio is recording good. So the video thing, we'll just have to mess with it in the middle of the show and just. Okay.
Did Mosh use the cable bill money for another divorce lawyer?
All right, so no camera, no audio, no video there for Murph. That's okay. We don't need to look at me anyways.
We'll just go security cam.
We'll just go security cam and go Mosh cam.
Yep, the Murph solo cam's the problem. Hey, all right.
You
know, it only took 73 of us to diagnose that.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us here on another episode of Raiders Fan Radio. What's up, guys? Appreciate you joining us here for episode number 110 of Raiders Fan Radio. So a couple things we'll get to today. We, of course, thank you for joining us on YouTube, and you can always subscribe to us at youtube.com/Murph's Fan Cave, and you can always find our show that way. And we've become big fans of this YouTube thing because of the interaction, including the interaction when people tell us that our audio and video sucks. We do still always enjoy the interaction. So thank you to those of you that have joined us today. I can't scroll up to see all the names, but Mojo, Chuck McCann, Ron, Monster Mash, Ken, Bootleg Joe, Devin, Aaron the Q-Dog Raider, Kev is in there, Chris Potts is in there. Great to see everybody. Randy Henson. How about former defensive backs coach for the Oakland Raiders, Randy Henson, joining us in the chat, Uncle Mosh? That is very, very cool. So appreciate everybody joining us there. All right, so episode number 110, we're going to get to the significance of the number 110. We are going to give respect to a lot of folks in Raider Nation. And we are going to cover a couple of hot topics that happened this week. One is the Mic'd Up with Gruden and Derek Carr. We're going to cover an article written by Jerry McDonald. We're going to cover some roster bonuses that got paid out. We're going to discuss the big hiring of our new general manager. Then, most importantly, we're going to get into the Sea of Fans, and we're going to hear you, and we're going to hear your takes and your sizzlers. And so we'll listen to your voicemails, and we will read some of your emails. And then if we have time, we'll get into a little bit of a playoff preview. So before we get to all that, though, let's listen to Uncle Mosh, and he can tell you how you can get in touch with us.
All right, boys and girls, pay attention. You got your old Uncle Mosh here with an update. That's right. I got some stuff for you. Take out a piece of paper, a pencil, a pen. Heck, use your pocket knife and carve the info into your dashboard as you're driving down the highway. First off, you need to like us on our fan page on Facebook. That's right. Go to Facebook at Raiders Fan Radio Podcast. Don't forget about the Twitter. You know your old Uncle Mosh, he twits now. That's right. Go to at Raiders Fan Radio. Also, don't forget the Instagram at Raiders Fan Radio. Or what about our website? That's right, RaidersFanRadio.com. Heck, if you want to, you can even email us, show@RaidersFanRadio.com, or call us on the Raiders Fan Radio hotline, 909-345-3346. That's 909-345-3346. Don't forget Merv's Fan Cave on the YouTube, where you can get all the show links like the Fan Club Blitz with Splatterhead and Fitz. Find all our stuff on podcast providers like Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Play. All right, did I hit the time limit? Good.
All right, thank you, Uncle Mosh, for the contact information there. And, you know, Uncle Mosh, we always start off our shows by recognizing the show number with the significance and somehow how that relates back to the Raiders. So whether it's a player's jersey number or a year or whatnot, there is numerous ways that we can link that back. And this week we have chosen to link it back to a yardage total, as now that we are in the hundreds. It's often apropos for us to link it to that yardage total. So for this week, for episode number 110. The Raiders' first victory this year, Uncle Mosh. Do you remember that game?
Well, yeah. You and I were watching the game here in the fan cave.
Yeah.
And we were a little impressed. You know, it might have even been a little bit of fanboying on the other team's quarterback.
There might have been a little man crushage going on.
Yeah, and we're going, geez, that guy needs to be a backup to number 4.
I know, right? The kid can play, and of course
the kid can ball out, man.
He can. We're talking about Baker Mayfield, and so thankfully the Raiders won that game. We won it in overtime, 45-42. And despite, of course, our affinity for the Raiders first and foremost, we were like, man, old number 6, man, he can sling it a little bit, and he's been fun to watch this year. And so anyway, as far as 110 goes, Jared Cook in that game, Uncle Mosh, in that first Raiders victory, had 110 yards. He, along with that guy that now plays in Dallas, had each topped the 100-yard mark. And then, of course, Marshawn ran for 130, and Carr threw for 437 in that game. But Jared Cook caught 110. He had 110 receiving yards in the game. So we want to celebrate Jared Cook today with the number 110. All right, so Mosh, let's move on to our first big segment of the show, and that is where we give respect. We give respect to around here. We don't do shout outs. We don't do props. We give respect. First off, much respect to everybody that's joining us in the chat room and hanging with us through our technical difficulties. We'll get this thing figured out. I think I outkicked my coverage with this whole camera thing is what happened. I think I have more camera than what my computer can handle when it comes to uploading and producing a live
seriously,
stream.
it's why you don't put a nitro burning turbocharger on a Volkswagen Bug.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. So I've crushed my computer's ability to process video, and so it's dragging the whole thing down at one time. So anyway, hopefully we'll have that figured out by next week. All right, but so for this week though, so we're going to give respect to, sadly, someone that we lost this week, and I'm talking about Raiders' former wide receiver, Warren Wells. If you're not familiar with Warren Wells, he played for the Raiders back in the 60s. He was part of the Heidi game. He was part of the AFL championship team in 1967. He played for the Raiders from 67 to 70 and wasn't, by all accounts, an absolute stud. My awareness of the Raiders really doesn't start to kick in until the 70s, when I used to have you guys, when you guys used to tell me stories about the Raiders. Of course, we always knew about LaMonica and some of the, Blanda and Otto and those guys. But as a kid, I didn't really have a big awareness of Warren Wells. Did you? Because this is even, you were young.
Yeah,
then.
This is when I was real young. And this is one of those guys that they talked about as I was becoming a fan. I don't remember a lot of watching him. Probably did, because games were always on, but didn't have that physical awareness of him. Knew about him later, like those characters, like Stabler and those to you, he was to me.
I got you. Okay. All right, good deal. So Warren Wells, sadly, again, we lost Warren, but one of the highest rated shows, Uncle Mosh, that we've ever had here on Raiders Fan Radio has been Pastor Armando Leon. We've had Armando Leon on the show twice. Way back in the early days, we had him on episode number 27, and then once not all that long ago, an episode in the 90s. And still to this day, that's the highest rated episode we've ever had on Raiders Fan Radio. But anyway, so going back to that first time when we had Pastor Mondo on, he told the story where he saved Warren Wells, essentially, and that Warren had fallen on hard times. Warren, he only played a limited time in the NFL because he had some challenges in his life through substance and a handful of other things, and had later in life had really kind of been down on his luck. And Pastor Mondo tells this amazing story about how he had did not plan on going to a game. Some things happened in his life that allowed him to, on short notice, go to a game. He brought his Nation Ministry banner to the game. The banner got shown on TV. And Warren Wells, somebody related to Warren, reached out to Pastor Mondo and asked Pastor Mondo to get in touch with Warren and minister to him. So wow, it's an amazing story. So I have just a couple minutes of that story. If you want to go back and hear the whole thing, it's on, it's on episode number 27. And listen, regardless of where you come out on your faith or religion or anything like that, this is just a cool story about one guy reaching out to another guy and sharing a moment and just trying to pull somebody up out of
one human being helping another, man.
Helping him out of a bad place. And so it's great. So anyway, so here's a couple minutes of that for you from that interview.
And she told me, her name is Jay Giles. She's a professor at the Houston University. She told me that she saw the banner in the end zone, and when she went to the website, the Lord spoke to her that I was called to minister to Warren Wells, number 81, who played back in the Haiti, and to only find out that he had fallen off the face of the earth. He was homeless, addicted to drugs, and so forth. She told me, I'm going to go look for him. He's in Belmont, Texas, and I'm going to ask him if he's willing to speak to you. I'm going to tell him that you're the pastor of the Raiders. Okay, ma'am. I'll wait for your phone call. Next day, that phone rings, and he was willing to speak to me. Well, his life has changed. He's a minister now of the church that took him in. He runs a men's home.
He's a minister now.
He's a minister now. There's some things that I shared with him that were really personal that it was overwhelming to him. And he just kept asking me, how did you know that about me? I go, Mr. Wells, I don't know anything about you, with the exception of you wearing number 81 and being one of the greatest players to ever play for the Raiders. That's all I know about you. I know about the Haiti game because you were part of that. Daryl LaMonica. That's all I know about you. But what I just shared right now, remember this. Don't you ever forget it. Jesus was the same yesterday. He was there when your heart was broken. He's here today to receive you. You're the prodigal son, brother. He's going to be there tomorrow to guide you. Hebrews 13:8 tells us that. And he was just overwhelmed, and he wanted prayer. I was just amazed with the technology we have today. I'm on a cell phone in my print shop office, and Warren Wells is being ministered by the Holy Spirit in an alley in Texas. One of the last things I said to him was, oh, one more thing, Mr. Wells. The Lord's going to put you in the path of your teammates once again. Last year, the Raiders flew him in for the Green Bay game, and he lit the torch.
Yeah, for Al. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I remember that.
His nephew knew of the story, and he sent me a picture of Warren Wells, Jim Otto, Flores, Cliff Branch, and I think it was Clement Daniels. They're in a photograph. They're having dinner. And I don't know whose house it was, but the nephew sent me the picture. Pastor, this is something you shared with my grandpa. I thought you'd enjoy the picture.
Wow.
And I was just left in awe, like, wow. It all started with take the banner down. You're going to Oakland. Bless your brother.
Good stuff there from Pastor Mondo, Mosh. It's a great story, and Pastor Mondo is an awesome guest. He's just a great member of Raider Nation, doing great things, and so things that go well above and beyond the football field and even fandom, man. He's so great. So it's so neat to hear that he had that moment, had that time spent with Warren Wells, and so anyway, so Raider in peace to Warren Wells, right, Mosh?
Absolutely. You know, And what a loss! I mean, what a loss!
Absolutely,
what a loss for Raider Nation. But
now we, sadly, Uncle Mosh, we had somebody else that we lost as recently as just today. Mosh,
wait,
now for something completely different.
Wait for it.
Mosh.
Yeah, man.
You're not supposed to put the laugh button when I said somebody else passed away.
No, you don't understand. He would have thought it was funny.
Okay.
Not that he passed. I mean, he doesn't think that's funny. But this guy.
Hey, wait till I die. It's going to be hilarious. I don't remember that guy saying that.
This guy had nothing to do with football.
Oh, so you had to play the now for something completely different.
Something completely different. But this guy does what we do. He gets behind a microphone.
He does get behind a microphone.
He got behind a microphone.
A lot.
For years.
One of the best ever to get behind a microphone.
Ever. Had nothing to do with football, but on this show, he gets respect.
He's going to get respect. So yes, Chris Potts, he nailed it.
Absolutely.
We're talking about Mean Gene Okerlund. Sadly, we lost Mean Gene today. Whether you're a wrestling fan or not, he is one of the best ever, the best guys to get on the microphone to play it straight while he's got these, 280-pound muscle-bound maniacs going crazy. He's standing there stone-faced and playing the ultimate straight man. And so we want to celebrate Mean Gene, classic wrestling of the age of the 80s, of the old WWF. And, Mean Gene was, as I mentioned, famous for playing it straight against these people that are going crazy.
Sure.
But he did break once in a while.
And
it was really funny when he would break. And so I have just a clip here, just a couple minutes long, of Mean Gene and some other guy, I don't know, going at it. And the other guy that he's talking with here, he's another commentator. And the guy I think he's Scottish, he's got a cricket bat on his shoulder.
Right.
And Mean Gene is standing there with a plunger on his shoulder. And this is the exchange that they had.
He is a classic. I think that's what you'd call Brutus Beefcake. Right, Lord Alfred Hayes?
If you say so, Gene.
Sterling performance.
Absolutely. Stiff upper lip.
Yes. What do you have there in your hand?
This is a cricket bat, Gene. I'm forming a cricket team. I've already asked Vince McMahon. He'll play.
Yes. Maybe we can get Vinny and maybe some of the other boys.
Come on soon.
I like to bring in a ringer from maybe Brazil or Portugal or someplace like that. Just exactly. Now, you use a ball to play cricket. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes. Very informative we are.
Let's bring you up to date on the travels of the World Wrestling Federation as we tour the country.
Oh, my gosh. Isn't that great?
Man, what a voice!
Voice.
I mean, just unbelievable. What a character! He wasn't above being made fun of. He a lot of that stuff. Jesse the Body, of course, little known fact. Jesse's the Body's the one that gave him the name Mean Gene. And the fun, that was a slam because Gene Okerlund was known as one of the sweetest, nicest guys in the business. One of the only guys who stayed married for 54, 55 years to the same woman, had 2 kidney transplants, and his last kidney transplant, he got his kidney from his wife.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
Check out you with the Mean Gene knowledge.
Oh, yeah. Well, his best friends in the whole world were Hulk Hogan and Bobby the Brain Heenan and Iron Sheik. He was even Iron Sheik's best man at his wedding.
No kidding. Oh, my gosh.
Mean Gene was amazing. And he did stuff like he always had this shtick about, well, when he would interview women, that he wouldn't look him in the eye. He'd look a little bit lower.
Yeah.
That started out as a joke. So then he brought it into his shtick. so that people could make fun of him and stuff. And it was just,
awesome.
but he's like you and I. He's not above laughing at himself.
Yeah, right, absolutely. And that was what I always got. And I saw Kev called me out there. No, that guy wasn't Scottish, but I was thinking of he did a bunch of stuff with Piper, because Piper used to sing us from Scotland. Even though he wasn't, but he would say that.
Sure.
And so because he would always ask him, how are things going in Scotland and whatever. So that's what I was thinking of. So I apologize there. But yeah, man, Mean Gene. So Mosh. So as far as on the mic, I don't want to say best voice ever, but he's short list, right? He's up there with top five as far as just golden as John Facenda. Right, some people would put Dan Patrick in there. You know what I mean? But he's on that kind of elite.
He's that caliber.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You bet. Good stuff. So, so we definitely want to give respect to Mean Gene today. And yes, I saw in the chat there also Super Dave Osborne, man, passed away.
And they were the same age. I said to you, "Wow, Super Dave, wasn't he my age?" And you're like, "No, man, he was like Mean Gene's age.
Yeah, like 75,
77, something like that.
75.
And talk about funny."
Oh man, he's great.
That guy was a riot.
Have you ever, not to go completely off the rails here, but it is the off season now officially.
Yeah, it is.
Because we don't have the playoffs to talk about for the Raiders. Did you ever see the show? You don't do Netflix. Never mind. There's a show on Netflix called Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, and it's brilliant. And Jerry Seinfeld hosts the show, and he picks out a classic automobile, and then he goes and picks up a comedian, and they drive around, and mostly they talk about comedy. And so this guy, Super Dave, I forget his last name in real life. It's Bob something. He's a big time writer and was like a big contributor to Curb Your Enthusiasm and whatnot. Like he's a way big, like behind the scenes type guy. Like, you know how like what's Jimmy Fallon's announcer? What's his name?
Oh, yeah.
Higgins or whatever.
Higgins, and who was actually brilliant.
Exactly.
He's the guy. I had that student that did that internship there. Yeah.
Super Dave was one of those kind of guys. Like he was the guy that like kind of played it cool, but really he was the brains behind a lot of things.
Right.
All right. So anyways, it's him and Jerry Seinfeld in Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, and it's friggin' hilarious. So we definitely want to give a lot of respect to Bob Einstein. Thank you very much, Chris Potts. Great call. All right. So we definitely want to give respect to those gentlemen, and rest in peace, Raider in peace. And you know what I mean? Sad that we lost some icons this week, but they always come in threes, huh?
I guess they say that. I don't know that I buy into that.
Okay.
Because they always go, they come in threes. Well, maybe they come in twos or fours. Where do you start the count and where do you stop the count? Yeah. It's like that name George, man, and don't get me going there.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, we lost Super Dave, Mean Gene, and my camera this show. So they come in three.
We did lose one other famous name, the name that goes on the list of the names that shall not be spoken on this program.
Well, okay.
Again. I'll let you take it.
All right. Let's do this to cleanse the palate then, because we want to give proper respect to another name on our list today, but let's do this as kind of our in between we had the passings, and now we'll just say it. Greg Papa, former announcer for the Raiders, former radio broadcaster, current Bay Area talk show host, has been announced as now he's going to be the voice of the Niners.
That just gives me Ashito right here.
I
just get a little bit of heartburn.
He's had a case of the ass for the Raiders and Mark Davis and whatnot for a little while now. And we've been saying on this show, he sounds like sour grapes.
Yeah.
He sounds bitter. Well, here you go. And here's why. Because he's going to work for the competition and probably has known this for a long time.
Yeah.
That this was coming. So, anyways, I don't really want to spend a ton of time talking about that guy. But I'll tell you somebody who we can't talk about. How's yours? This is for a segue. We want to give a lot of props and a lot of respect to one of the best, one of the all-time greatest. In fact, I'll give you his card to hold up since my camera don't work. One of the all-time greatest super fans, maybe the super fan. It's certainly him, and it's Gorilla Rilla. And I'm talking about Violator. Violator is the absolute Mount Rushmore of Raiders super fans. Like I said, he's probably number one, if not number two on the call sheet. And he had a really nice, heartfelt article that went out this week. I believe it was Football Girl was the name of the website or the blog that the story ran from. But it's his pen. He's the one that wrote this article. And Uncle Mosh, tell us a little bit about what Violator had to say this week.
So it's quite a lengthy article, and it's really good. It really shows the emotional side of this guy and the fact that we as fans, we get fired up and we go crazy and everybody's all, but we also got brains to back that up. And so this article it's very well written. He talks a lot about the process it took, the 8-hour drive, the getting a hotel, because he's from SoCal, and to get up to the Bay Area, and he would stay in a hotel and he would go through this 2-hour pregame and all the stuff that went into it, and how this last game was so emotional, and there was cameras on him the whole time, and went through his whole process. And then after the game, how everybody was fired up for the win, but yet they were giving each other condolences, because this is a group of guys that watched each other's children grow up.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And then the fact that they may never see each other again.
Wow.
And so it wasn't so much of a sense of loss of the Coliseum, but a loss of what they had and what they had built,
that
and
community,
the camaraderie,
yeah.
and the community, and all of a sudden, you realize that this may not happen again. And people would say, well, why wouldn't you just, if you're closer to Vegas than you are to than you are to Oakland, so just get your seats over there. Well, he had applied for his PSL, and then when the prices came out, they were so high at the new stadium that he was basically priced out.
Right.
And on a side note, you were telling me a story about the GoFundMe, and then I'll finish. But go ahead and relate that one to people. This is what a class act Violator really is.
Yeah, so there was some folks that put together a GoFundMe, knowing that he wasn't going to be able to attend the games, and I believe our buddy Mojo Raider was part of that. He's at least minimum the one that made me aware of the story. And so there was a GoFundMe that got set up because obviously Raider Nation wanted to help.
Sure.
Wayne Mabry is his name. Help Violator get to the games. Because it's not a Raider game if Violator in there. You know what I mean?
Right.
He is he's beyond a fan. Like, he is the fabric of what it is to be a Raider fan, essentially. Like I said, he and Gorilla Roll. And
he's one of the original 4 members of the Black Hole.
I wish my camera was working, because I'm wearing my One Nation shirt that comes from Violator and his website. But anyways, so there was this GoFundMe page that got set up, and he quickly shot it down. Not in a jerky way, because that's not the kind of guy he is, but in a way where he just said, look, I appreciate the sentiment, but there are some other things going on, and I'll go ahead, I'll work it. I'll have it handled. So appreciate Raider Nation for doing that, but it's not necessary. We'll figure something else out in the meantime. And I'm sure, I don't know what it is, and this is 100% speculation off the top of my head because I have no clue. But I would imagine there's got to be Corona and its brands, or Modelo and its brands, sponsor the Black Hole, right? I can't imagine that there's not some company of somehow an NFL advertising entity that wouldn't sponsor Violator to be at the games. Literally, why not? Right?
I agree.
So hopefully, maybe somebody like that has reached out to him and said, we will, insure you in exchange for him to, advertise their stuff on Instagram or whatever it may be. You know what I mean? I think that would be really cool.
And I agree. And I think Mojo, he on it. He said that Wayne wasn't having it. He's not a handout guy. He's a class act. And, in this article, Wayne, he says, you never know. This is how he ends his article. He says, you never know how life shifts. And I truly hope to cheer the Raiders on in person for years to come. My track record as a fan speaks for itself, and if it doesn't, someone else can fill those shoes and try to do it better. But, he truly was a class act, truly was and is a super fan.
Absolutely.
If there was ever a person that exemplified what a super fan is, it's Violator.
It's Violator. Absolutely.
Oh, here we go.
You're listening to The Violator, and I'm live on Raider Fan Radio. Where you at, baby?
All right, Uncle Mosh. Next up here. So there's some phenomenal footage that came out this past week. Of course, we're talking about the Raiders post-Broncos game. We're going to pretend that last game of the season didn't even happen. I don't even remember Week 17. Do you? Did it happen?
I was busy that week.
I was, I don't even know what went on there. But but the week before that, we beat the Broncos, last game ever in Oakland. And as I'm sure everybody that's listening to the show is already aware, there was some phenomenal footage that came out of John Gruden and Derek Carr both mic'd up for the game. You and I are huge fans of NFL films. We are a huge fan of mic'd up. We featured a lot of mic'd ups on this show. We're not going to feature these ones tonight because they're each like 7 minutes long, and it wouldn't do it justice for me to sit here and edit out, handfuls of clips or whatever. Go listen to it. If you haven't heard it yet, just Google John Gruden mic'd up and it will come up. It's very recent, and it is some of the best, most entertaining Gruden sound bites, insights into the dynamics between him and Derek Carr, insights into the personality of Derek Carr. We kind of already know what Gruden's like, and we already know what Derek's like too, but not in the moment as much. So to see Carr, even Mosh goes, he's kind of a cornball.
He's very much a cornball, and I love that about him.
Yeah. And so anyway, it's really great. So go watch the Derek Carr and John Gruden mic'd up. I promise you will not be let down by either of those. It's great stuff. And kudos to them, not only for being willing to be mic'd up, but the way that they celebrate with the fans before and after the game was just amazing. Okay, Uncle Mosh, another story here that came out this week. Speaking of Gruden and Carr, there was an Outlook article that was put out this week in the Mercury News, and it was put out by Jerry McDonald. In Raider Nation, you'll hear me rally against lots of people in terms of their news coverage, and because we always will call it out when it's news coverage that's not accounted for or appropriately or is pushing some sort of agenda. There's a handful of guys that never do that, though, frankly, and one of those guys is Jerry McDonald, writer for the Raiders for the Mercury News. He's fantastic. He and now Matt Schneidman also writes for the Merc. It's really, speaking of insightful boots on the ground type reporting. You really get a sense of what's going on. It's not speculation. It's not trying to, fortune tell and look into his crystal ball. He's taking firsthand accounts of what's actually going on the field, at the facilities, and he's reporting on it. And one of the things that I like about Jerry is that he will, he's not a Gruden basher. He's not a Raider basher at all, frankly. He's willing to kind of take a scenario and, like I said, look at it and then report on it in a way that I think is fair. Not always positive. I'm not trying to say that he's always, Pollyanna about things, but he's fair. And so one of the things that came out, there's a lot of criticism this week about the way the Raiders closed out the season. I mentioned the game in Kansas City, and while it was not ideal, right, we were all disappointed in the way that it went down. But I also think that we were so lifted up the prior week in the way that we beat the Broncos, the last game in Oakland. Everybody's on this emotional high, and then we go to Arrowhead and lose. And I think that we were kind of set up a little bit because we were lifted up so much the prior week. So we fell down hard, man. I mean, it sucked that game. And so, there was a lot of criticism getting thrown out there. Derek didn't play the best in that game. He had some weird passes, some questionable passes. And so here came the critics, as they do, off of a tough loss. And so Jerry fairly stands up in this article and says, but the most important development in this game was not Derek Carr's play singularly to the game, was not a pass or two, but the important development, which could pay off, and I'm reading him now, which could pay off wherever the future is for the Raiders. It's not that Derek Carr and John Gruden seem to grow together in a coach, CEO, quarterback partnership, which is I messed up the wording on that. What is important is that they seem to grow together in this partnership, which is a bedrock for strong NFL franchises in an era dominated by offense. And I think that when to go back to the mic'd up, you see the dynamic between these two this isn't something that's going to end. Derek Carr's not going to get traded. Derek Carr is going to be our quarterback for the foreseeable future. And I love the idea that Jerry doesn't come out of this and say, well, Derek Carr sucked. The Raiders sucked. We got blown out in Arrowhead. He says, okay, yeah, these unfortunate things happened in this game, but what did I learn from it? I didn't learn anything from the game singularly. I don't look at it in a vacuum. I look at the big picture. The big picture says that the dynamic and the relationship between Gruden and Carr is going to be one to foster and grow and to be part of Raider Nation for the indefinite future. Mosh, what do you think?
I agree. You know, and I agree with what Randy Henson said in the chat. He said the Raiders actually dominated the first half. The four turnovers can make it look incredibly deceiving.
Absolutely.
You know,
great point.
And man, there was so much of that stuff. Carr, like Pirate 1975 says, Carr is the future. Carr is 100% our future, and it shows. And you know, and Cook's going to be part of that future. I believe. I really believe it. I think that, you know, there was a couple times on that one play that where we said, you and I said, why did he quit? Why did he quit?
Oh yeah.
Cook thought it was a running play.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it stated that in that article, you know, because that was, and you saw them talking, and it wasn't a butt chewing on the backside. It was like, dude, you know, that was an intended pass. Oh man, you know,
yeah.
I thought, you know, there again, that's that what you're talking about, that big picture stuff. So
absolutely.
Hey, you know the way I look at it, we got 2 out of 3.
We got 2 out of 3. We got Pittsburgh, we got Denver,
we got Pittsburgh, and we got the Donks. You know,
we almost got KC, Mosh, and that's a great point.
Nobody's ever hit 666 in the majors.
Yeah.
You know, so 2 out of 3 ain't bad, bro.
2 out of 3 ain't bad. And yeah, it really was. I mean, we talked about it during the game. We're like, gosh, if it's not for these turnovers, we might actually be leading this game.
Yeah.
Let alone having it be close. We might actually be winning this football game. So, yeah, that was definitely unfortunate. All right, Uncle Mosh, one more Raiders story before we get to the big story. One more small story is that the Raiders extended 4 roster bonuses this week. And I'm not going to sell the lead because I think there's a hidden story inside this story.
Okay, story within a story.
Story within the story. So the overarching story is that the Raiders pay 4 roster bonuses, freeing up $5 million. So that's now, by all accounts, roughly $85 million that the Raiders are going to have in the offseason. I don't think the Raiders are going to blow it all out and like go spend it all. I think we'll see a little bit of movement. I think we could see him sign like somebody like a CJ Mosley or whatever, which would be great. But I don't see him going to spend in all that. They'll probably work up to it by the time we get to Vegas. But anyways, the names on the list that were extended roster bonuses, Jordy Nelson. So what does that mean? You extend the roster bonus. It means these players are going to be on the team next year. So these 4 players are going to be Raiders next year. Jordy Nelson, Tahir Whitehead, Lee Smith, and linebacker Kyle Wilbur. These are leaders at their positions all the way around, even Jordy. Thankfully, he picked up his play here towards the end of the year. But all these guys, leader of the linebackers is Whitehead for sure. Leader of the tight ends is Derek Carr's spirit animal, Lee Smith, and certainly one of the leaders on special teams is Kyle Wilbur. But the story within the story, Mosh, and what do you think about this? This story was broke and reported by and on location by the Las Vegas Review-Journal, not any of the Oakland newspapers, not any of the Bay Area newspapers. This was a Vegas story. What do you think?
I think it's fortuitous. It's saying, I mean, we know what the future is. We know we're not going to be there. We know we're moving. But the fact that the Las Vegas Journal is putting people in place to cover that, you know, the Las Vegas Journal has people in Alameda, man. They're buying in, baby. They are. I mean, we always knew they were buying in, but this is huge.
This is huge.
Every you watch from here on out, every move that the Raiders make, the Las Vegas Journal is going to be on it. It's going to be on it the way the Bay Area papers should have been.
Yeah,
and way that, you know, they're going to learn something from that.
Absolutely. Good stuff, Uncle Mosh, and good stuff from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, and good stuff for the Raiders, man. I think these are good. You like the names on the list? You like those 4 guys, extending all 4 of them?
I've always been a Jordy Nelson fan, though.
You like Jordy.
And I going back to the mic'd up, I love that. Remember that? Yeah. You know,
I wish I had Aaron at quarterback.
Yeah. And he says that it's just, he's mic'd. Hey, I wish I had. You know, yeah. I mean, what a great guy. What a great chemistry that it shows between them.
Absolutely.
And you know, I think that's so good for Derek. I think to have these older guys, the way he looked to Marshawn Lynch,
yes,
the way he can now look to Jordy, there's a reason that those guys were brought in, and I bought that from the beginning. That those guys were brought in to help bring along this quarterback.
Absolutely.
You don't necessarily have to bring in an old quarterback to bring along your young quarterback, but if you can bring along the guys that he's going to be throwing to, the guys that he's going to be handing off to, the guys that he can look to that have another vision from their perspective on the field, man, that's huge.
Great point, Uncle Mosh. Love it. And I'm with you. I think those are definitely some good names on that list. All right, you want to hit an audio bite here? We'll catch our breath, and then we'll get into the big news of the week.
You betcha.
Hey, Raider Nation. I just want to say hello. This is Pastor Mondo of NationMinistry.net. You're listening to Raider Fan Radio with Uncle Mosh and my brother, Murph. Just win, baby.
All right. Thank you, Pastor Mondo. And, okay, Uncle Mosh. So the big news of the week is this is a story about a good friend of mine.
You guys are like I don't know if they can see it or not, but it's like
this. Let me go to your camera because you're
go to my camera. Yeah. You guys are like right here. You're so tight. You're tight. Yeah.
All right, so we're tight. So Uncle Mosh is referring to my best friend Mike Mayock, and I'll go ahead and tell the story. Tell the story off the top just to get it out of the way. I met Mike Mayock one time.
You did where?
I did. I met him at the Knoxville Courtyard by Marriott. It's not just a commercial.
Are they our sponsors?
No, but they are the official hotel of the NFL. And when you see those commercials with Rich Eisen and all that stuff, it really is for real because those guys stay at courtyards. And I know that because I met Mike Mayock at a courtyard. So for those of you that know, we live in Tennessee. Uncle Mosh and I do. We're originally from the Bay Area, but we live now in Middle Tennessee. And sometimes I travel for work. And one of the days I traveled to Knoxville. And I was sitting there eating breakfast, Uncle Mosh. And amidst my hash browns, I looked to my left, and wearing a light blue NFL Network polo shirt is Mike Mayock. And so I finished up my breakfast, and he was in the middle of eating, so I didn't want to just, go and totally interrupt him and like sit on the end of his table and take a selfie.
Yeah.
But I said, "Good morning, Mike." And he looks up and he goes, "Hi, how are you?" And I said, I'm great, sir." I said, "Nice to meet you." And I said, I'm a big fan. And he said, well, thank you. And I'm trying to recall, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but I said, I go, "All right, what are you in town for?" And he said, "Well, UT is having their pro day." So he's talking about the University of Tennessee. And I said, it's a big names to watch because if you think back to, you don't know what year this is. This is 2013. So if you think back to 2013, this is Cordero Patterson. This is Justin Hunter. And this is Tyler Bray, quarterback, who actually went undrafted.
Yeah.
But, and I said, "Oh, cool." I said, "Well, I'm a Raider fan. It sure would be cool if they, in the late rounds, drafted Tyler Bray because Tyler Bray, he's out of the league, I think now, or I forget even where he's at. He's a backup to a backup somewhere if he is. But he's a big, tall guy with a big, strong arm.
Yeah.
And this is in the Terrell Pryor Raiders.
Sure.
So as much as we loved Terrell Pryor, we didn't know what the Raiders were going to do at quarterback. It was so, iffy back then. This is just before Derek Carr, right? And so, so I said, well, it sure would be cool if they looked at Tyler Bray in the late rounds. And he said, yeah. He said, well, the Raiders sure could use an arm. And I said, yes, sir, they could. I said, well, I didn't want to linger because, again, he's like, mid-egg.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just said, well, nice to meet you and take care. And he said, nice to meet you. Nicest guy in the world. And a couple things I remember in talking to him, the guy's ripped. Like
is he really?
He's like 60. He's your age.
Yeah.
And he's in.
So he's ripped like I am.
Exactly.
Nice.
But I looked at him and I'm like, this guy reminds me of Uncle Mosh.
Yeah.
Aside from the Philadelphia accent.
There you go.
He's all Mosh. But yeah, in phenomenal shape and just a super, super nice guy. And so, I've since then been a fan of his, like, and really before then too. I love the combine. I'm one of those people that will watch the combine, because it's probably the most naptastic sporting event after the early rounds of the Masters. Now, the Masters on a Sunday can get a little intriguing. And so sometimes you don't want to nap it out because you might miss Tiger's, big day or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but the combine, especially when they're like doing linemen, there's nothing more soothing than Mike Mayock and Rich Eisen talking about the combine. Anyway, so I like Mike Mayock, and he's an incredible talent evaluator, and I think going to be a welcome addition to the Raiders staff. So let's hear from Mike himself. First off, let's hear from Mike on what he thinks it is like, or what it means to him to become a Raider.
When you think of the Oakland Raiders, this team, this brand, what this team really represents, what do you think of?
Man, I think back to the good old days, the quote good old days. When it was dirty, it was all grass. It was John Matuzak and it was Cliff Branch running verticals, and it was Jim Plunkett. It was my good friend Howie Long dominating. I could give you so many memories, and it was them against the Pittsburgh Steelers and Three Rivers and the ball, Franco Harris, immaculate reception. I remember the good and the bad. I could go on and on with you about the history of this franchise. And to be honest with you, it kind of just, it humbles me that I'm now an Oakland Raider. And like Howie Long has said to me, once a Raider, always a Raider, man.
Pretty cool stuff there. So you mentioned, Howie Long being a buddy, the Philly guys, those Eastern Pennsylvania guys, which, Eastern Pennsylvania is a hotbed for football, and football talent. And so pretty cool there. I mentioned Rich Eisen. Rich Eisen is a guy that I have a lot of respect for as a commentator. He's usually pretty dead on with his analysis of things, and he can fanboy out about the Jets a little bit at times. But for the most part, as a radio host especially, he's fantastic. So being a former partner now of Mike Mayock, I got Rich's take for you here on what it is, on what the Raiders are getting with Mike Mayock, and I think this provides a really neat insight into the person of Mike Mayock and what the Raiders can expect.
My guy, Mike Mayock, is officially the general manager of the Raiders. NFL Network is showing a great piece of footage when Mayock interviewed Gruden in 2004 at the Combine.
Wow.
Okay. It's really old school stuff. And I will tell you this.
Yeah, this has been rumored for a couple of years now.
I will tell you this. Here's what the Raiders are getting. They are getting a tireless, hard worker who is, and I understand, well, it's a TV guy, and what does a TV guy really know? Mayock's not a TV guy. He's a hardcore scout and talent evaluator that stumbled into television and made a great career out of it. And what they're going to get is a grinder of tape and a guy who identifies the love of the sport because he has an unparalleled love and passion for the sport. And sometimes it might affect his evaluation, and I understand it's being pointed out on Twitter. He liked Gabbert over Cam Newton, and I think he liked Gabbert over Cam Newton because Cam said that whole icon and stuff. But he also pegged Jamarcus Russell not being a lover of the sport, and he would have worn a Raiders uniform if he was a general manager then. And what Gruden's going to get is unvarnished opinion. I have been on the tail end of it on live television for a baker's dozen worth of years. And sometimes it's tough to hear, and I hope Gruden's ready for it because he's going to get it from Mike Mayock. And what they're going to also get is a roster not full of heavy-legged waistbenders and people who have ankle flexion and quicker than fast people. You're going to get high-character guys. And you're going to get the ultimate Gruden grinder. And I know he's been wanting this for a long time, and I love this man, Mike Mayock, and I'm going to miss the hell out of him. But you go, Mike Mayock. You go evaluate. And, I knew you being on Twitter was going to pay off in the long run. And I hope Daniel Jeremiah has a slower trigger finger on the 40-yard dash than you.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to interrupt.
You're good.
I didn't mean to interrupt Rich.
Yeah.
But you called that. You called that last week, or maybe it was it last week or the week before? But you said what Gruden needs, or maybe it was on the couch. I don't know. But you and I somehow said Gruden needs that guy that's not gonna be the yes man. Gruden needs that guy that's gonna say this is good, this is bad. You can believe me or not, but you're paying me to tell you this is good, this is bad. And so take that for what it's worth. And that's what they're getting. That's what they're getting with Mayock, is they're getting that guy that's going to tell Gruden, go this direction.
Yes.
Don't go this direction. You go that direction, you're screwing up. You know, and I think Gruden needs that. It's that checks and balances thing. He didn't have that with Reggie. As much as that commonality that they had, that they liked each other, there was no doubt about that. But he didn't have that, and maybe there's a little bit of trust issue, and he trusts Mayock, and we're gonna see an amazing rebuilding next year. Oh, I'm calling it right now. It's gonna be out of control.
I'm with you. And, you know, when you think about not only the personality of Mayock, he's not going to be shy to challenge Gruden, to provide his opinion, to provide his analysis best he can. But what is the one thing that even you and I agree on, that everybody else is keenly aware of, that Gruden lacks? It's the draft.
Yeah,
it's talent
the draft.
evaluation.
Absolutely.
And so he brought in a guy that is literally an expert at the draft and at talent evaluation. So of course, and it's funny how the critics go, because it's just because it's the Raiders, and I think some of our callers lead. I don't want to rob any of their thunder, so I'll leave it to them to talk about it later on in the Sea of Fans. But the gist of it is that, you know, people criticize Gruden for one thing, and then he does something to address it, and then they criticize why he did it.
It's a no-win situation.
It's like, what the crap, man? Like, you criticize, like, you got to pick a lane. You know what I mean? And it's like often with this stuff, it's like, you know, what are you going, you know, anyway. So I think it's a great fit. The tireless work ethic is the last thing that I'll say on it. You know, Gruden is a 4 a.m. guy. Mike Mayock is a 4 a.m. guy. We talk about in terms of players and as coaches. If you're not as bought in, as invested, and as committed as Gruden is, it doesn't matter how talented you are. You're not going to be part of the football team. This guy, Mike Mayock, is one of those kind of guys. This is all he does. He will eat, sleep, drink, breathe, crap, film. That's all he's going to do. And him and Gruden are going to be, you know, a great pairing, I think. So last thing, well, actually, I got two more quick. One real fast one here. Here's Mike Mayock on the NFL Network talking to his former colleague, Daniel Jeremiah.
Had different opportunities, and you've talked about it in the past. Why is this job the right job, and why is this the right time for you?
You know, DJ, I think a big part of it is a fit. And you and I, how many times have we talked about a fit for a particular player in a team and a scheme, right? I mean, that's all we talk about are fits. When our kids go to high school or college, what do we talk about? We hope it's the right fit for our kids. And the amazing thing is, I've known John Gruden for so long. We talk the same language, and it's the right fit. And as I said in the press conference a minute ago, I haven't even had a chance to get through I've got over 300 text messages, but a lot of them are football people, and they're all saying what a great fit. And so I think people understand that John and I have no agenda other than try to make this football team better.
There you go. I mean,
what other agenda could you have?
Right?
You know, in pro sports, what other... You know, neither one of these guys want to run for political office.
Yeah.
Neither one of them are trying to get Q-Dog paid. You know, he'll address that later on. But you know what I'm saying? These guys want to win games, man. They want to win games.
That's it. You got two guys committed to winning football games. That's what it's all about. All right, last one, and we're starting to run short on time, so I'm not going to play the whole thing. You can find it. Go Google Mike Mayock interviews John Gruden. I'll have a piece of it here for you. This is from 2004. You heard Rich mention it at the Combine. This is gold, man. I wish we had time to play it all, but I want to make sure we get to see fans in. But so just know this, though, is that it is, again, really keen insight way before they knew they were going to work together. This is what year is it? 2019?
It's 19 now.
19 minus 4 is 15.
You did math. You just did math.
Yes.
We're all about numbers.
15 years ago, these guys do this interview, and they are in complete lockstep, and you know it is, even though Mike Mayock is the one asking the questions. You know that he's in lockstep with Gruden based on the answers. And there was no agenda back then because they were operating in two completely different wavelengths.
Right.
So
right.
in terms of employment. So knowing that, and then knowing what their roles are with the Raiders, this is really, really cool stuff. So again, I'm just going to let it roll for a minute, and then I'll cut it off. But go find it if you want to hear more.
Okay, John, we've had a lot of coaches and general managers talking about this whole quarterback issue. Last 3 Super Bowls, the highest drafted quarterback was a 4th rounder, Gannon. Now, what is your opinion? Do you pay the high money to get a franchise guy, or do you try and get one of those guys that makes smart decisions, gets rid of the football?
It took Gannon and Brad Johnson a long time to play at the level that they played at. If you got a chance to get a great quarterback at any round, pay the price and get him on your team. That's what I say.
He's the guy you start with.
Well, you got to have a great quarterback to win in this league. We all know that, and sometimes things go in cycles, I think, just like the last 3 or 4 Super Bowls.
Okay, now in this particular combine coming out this year, you've got Manning and Roethlisberger. People are putting that, quote, franchise tag on them. I know it's early in your evaluation process. Have you had a chance to watch some of them?
Looked at them and looked at some other guys. Rivers at NC State's a very good player. Drew Henson, who was a top flight quarterback at Michigan a couple years ago, is going to enter this draft in some capacity.
Right.
It's just a great year for quarterbacks, and unfortunately, I don't know if we have enough ammunition to get up there high enough to get one of these guys.
Now, when you come to this combine, all the fans out there thinking, the 40-yard dash, the bench press. Philosophically, what are you looking to get out of this?
Well, obviously the physicals. Get the medical history on these players, learn a little bit about who they are as people, their agents, where they're going to be on draft day, when their workouts are going to be,
right.
And just to get an initial impression on how firm the handshake is, what the eye contact is like, and how much they love football.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and cut it off there. I love that, Mosh. They talk about those are the kind of intangibles, like, a handshake, eye contact. You know what I mean? The first impressions, like those are the things that go a long way with, those are the things you can't measure at the combine. You can't run that. You know what I mean? Those are just things that are inherent in the players. And those are the things that both these guys are going to be looking for. And I think it's great. So I'm excited for the matchup. Again, if you want to hear more of that interview, go find it. But Mosh, it's time. We're starting to run a little bit long. So let's go ahead and jump into it. And let's hear from somebody else that's not named you or me.
Fading, looking. He's under the gun. He's tied. He throws. It is. He caught
it. You want to shout the chat out first?
No, I just, it's funny. The chat, we're so lucky. We really are a lucky group of folks. We got Randy Henson here, former coach.
How cool is that,
and
man?
He's just, the guys, everybody's just, they're going back with him. And, we have always had a great group on the chat. But the fact that the Randy Henson, he laughed. He wrote "sea of hands," exclamation point. But, Mike Mayock, last word on him. The guy played college football and college baseball.
I know he played baseball.
Yeah, and he was drafted, of course, 10th round, 256th pick by Pittsburgh, but came back and played a couple of years for the Giants. But you mentioned it, that tireless effort, man. I got so much respect for people like that.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Anyway,
relentless.
Yeah. Those two things, I just wanted to, shout out to Coach for jumping in here. We appreciate him a ton.
Yeah, it's so cool.
And I know that everybody enjoys being able to interact with him that way. And we're just you and I are just so blessed to be able to provide this forum. For the fans around the world to be able to talk to a guy that's not even in this country anymore. That's just rocks.
And talk about firsthand accounts of the ongoings of the Raiders, man. Appreciate Coach for sure. Coach Randy Henson for joining us there. A few other names. I can't scroll up, but I see Spooky is in there. Aaron Q-Dog Raider. Of course, Kev, YD, Mojo, White Stallion, Ron, Sean Garcia, Chuck Splatterhead McCann, Bobby Wasabi. Appreciate all of you all for joining us here and bearing with us on the early technical difficulties that we had here.
Did we have technical difficulties?
Oh my gosh,
that was so long ago. I don't forget. That was like last week's game.
I
forgot about that.
Yeah, can't even get like a half a K over here, let alone 4Ks.
Yeah.
I put up 4Ks and I killed the computer. All right, so but Uncle Mosh, we hit the music there in the famous intro to famous in our circles.
On our fan.
Yeah, for the Sea of Fans. So this is where we welcome, of course, Raider Nation, and we like to hear from you in the Sea of Fans mailbag. This is where you can call us at 909-345-3346 and leave us a voicemail, or you can email us show@RaidersFanRadio.com. And we always appreciate your all's correspondence. This is the best part of our show, and so we like to read and respond when appropriate. And Mosh, for the callers, there's always a highlight, right? There's always kind of some that I don't want to say outshine the others, but they stand out.
They sizzle.
Oh. Sizzler.
So what's a sizzler? A sizzler's something that just gets it, man. They just they just get after it, man. They just muffs.
Oh, air muffs at the 102 mark.
They just shit and get, man. they just know what to say, man. They know what to say, and we're lucky. Again, we talk about all of our guests, and we talk about the people that we've had on the everybody from E.J. Manuel to Phil Villapiano and the Violator, and and Jose Hernandez and Pastor Mondo, but we got Aaron the Q-Dog.
Aaron the Q-Dog, man.
Aaron the Q-Dog is our capo.
He's the made man of the made men.
He is probably the guy that's won the Sizzler Award the most.
Absolutely.
So we're going to use Aaron's most.
He can't win it anymore. He's off the board.
He doesn't need it anymore.
Hey, once you get capo,
yeah, and that's why there's only one capo.
No, but you might get a free T-shirt.
You might get a free T-shirt. Yeah, if we got that much material. Yeah. But he's that was on me.
Yeah, you can say that.
I can say that because
they had to repurpose a bed sheet for your shirt.
That's right. That's right. Remind me to tell you this story one time about when I lost my luggage going to Germany.
Oh no.
Yeah, and they go over here. The airline told me, go over here. This guy will hook you up. So I go over there to hook him up to get hooked up for clothes, right? Where they were trying to find my suitcase, and the guy says something in German, and everybody laughs, right? I was with my wife who teaches German. She's laughing. The kids are laughing. And I'm like, what was so funny? And he goes, oh, he was pointing down the block at the tent maker.
Oh.
I'm like, Anyway, so I want to play the example of a sizzler.
Okay.
And this is not today's sizzler, but every time he calls, it's a sizzler.
Okay.
Go ahead and hit me with Q-Dog's call from today.
Happy 2019, Aaron Q-Dog Radio, your capo calling. Hey, let's get down to it. The off season's here. Of course, we all know how we did the bed. Yeah, we messed it completely, totally, thoroughly, but all eyes are to the future because the greatness of the Raiders is in its future. So says our beloved, leader, Al Davis from the Crypt. I'm sitting here looking at this article right here, and it's talking about, the must signs, re-signs, and don't signs for the upcoming season. And I happen to agree with most of them. They talk about Jared Cook. Now, this is out of, the SB Nation blog, so, poorly written, but, very informative as always. Jared Cook, yeah, absolutely bring the guy back. 10 years in, 10 years good, snubbed in the doggone Pro Bowl. I mean, how can that happen? But you know what? More atrocities are going on, And I'm going to leave Trump out of this. But anyway, Doug Martin, on the fence, man. We can bring him back. Maybe not. I'm not going to miss the fumbles if we lose him. If we bring him back, I like the heart, and he's a Bay Area diehard. Dwayne Harris, this guy is a genius on the special teams. I mean, this guy is well thought, well executed. Could be a little faster, but you know what? We're comfortable with him. He's a known commodity. Daryl Worley, got to bring that guy back. Now the moderates, Jonathan Hankins, lose weight, bye. See Eric Harris, you know what? This is starting to sound like a hit list. So let's go ahead and call it the hit list. Denzel Good, out of here. Rashawn Melvin. And it should have already played by now. Gilchrist, got to go. Frosty Rucker, lose weight, got to go. Clinton McDonald, got to go. There's nobody else to mention. I'm so looking forward to bringing Chris Warren III back and seeing what he can do in tandem with somebody we can get in the draft. But now we got to give a little respect for 2019. My defenders are silver and black. Raider Lim, Raider Cliff, Raider Terrence, Raider Tony, and our president Willie Flores, big ups. And, of course, Raider Ramon in Charleston, West Virginia, my man, 40 grand, tight with that mechanics. And lastly, I got to give it up to the Maymen, Mojo Raider and Big Raider Trucker, mad love. Got to get me one of those shirts. And before I sign off, no respect goes out to the CEO with the world's worst haircut. No, I'm not talking about Mr. Davis. I'm talking about Trump. He's effing with my money. Bring the government back to work. Holla.
So that's a great example of a sizzler, man. He hit it all. So before we get started on the calls, I got a few emails I got to read.
Okay, hold on. I want to respond to something real quick though.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I love his hit list is great as always. I love it that he called out Chris Warren Jr. the third. We're fired up to see this guy next year.
Oh, yes.
He's going to be awesome. I love the way that Doug Martin ran the ball here late in the season, as we all did. And I think it's matching up somebody like Martin with somebody like Warren, that could be great. Because, I mean, Marshawn's really going to be up in the air coming off an injury and his age and them not playing in Oakland and all that. And then the last part is Cook. That's going to be really interesting. I mean, of course, we all want to see Jared Cook come back. But I'm just curious to how expensive he's going to be. And at this stage in his career, will he, and I don't begrudge him for it, but will he want to go and pursue that one last big payday? Because I think the Raiders are willing to break open the checkbook a little bit, but probably not willing to pay goofy money. And there's always a team that's going to be willing to pay goofy money. So that's going to be interesting, Aaron. I think that's probably, out of all of the players that we still have on the team, whether we retain their services or not, that's going to be a big time wild card. And, especially with Darren Waller coming along too.
Right.
He can play some tight end, and then with him coupled with Derek Carr's spirit animal already, and Derek Carrier maybe coming back. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. So I think that the great call is always Q-Dog, and those two players I think is going to be an interesting dynamic on both accounts.
Yeah. And we're high on a lot of those guys that he was talking about. So. Hey, so somebody that we're high on is Haley from Scotland. So it's her. The email starts with, "Hey Murph and Uncle Mosh, Haley from Scotland here. Bit of a newbie to the NFL and the Raider Nation. Only been following this sport since 2013-ish. Choose the Raiders as I used to visit a friend in Sacramento and would spend some time in the Bay Area, and the Coliseum was the first sports stadium I saw in America.
Nice.
They get better. Then the Raiders played London in 2014, and from that moment on, they were my team. Was put onto your show by Kev, who I met through SBUK. My fandom has been ramped up big time this season through joining SBUK. Seeing the Raiders in London this year, meeting all the folks at SBUK, and also listening to your podcast each week and hearing the thoughts of other fans. Although it's not been a great season results-wise, sharing the experience with the Raider Nation has made it my most enjoyable season. And with little glimmers of what the team can become, I am looking forward to the journey and the success that our Raiders will hopefully have. Love the show. Love what you guys do. Look forward to it every week. Special shout-out to the Mini Black Hole, which is my fellow Scots who all attended the London game together, and honorary Scots King Louis and his lovely wife Daisy. Take it easy, guys. Raider Nation for life." Wow, that's so cool.
Awesome.
A brand new fan to football and coming on as a Raider fan.
Yeah, and listener and supporter of our show. Thank you so much, Haley, for the email. And shouts out King Louis, who lives down the street. So we got a team with no home, represented by an emailer from Scotland to a podcast done in Middle Tennessee.
That's crazy.
It's just, I'm telling you, if you ever wondered whether Raider Nation is global or not, there's your answer right there.
Right there. All right, so our next one is also an email, and it says, ain't going to say much, fellas. $80 million plus in cap space and 3 first-rounders. The future's so bright, we got to wear shades.
Nice.
Very respectful. Lieutenant Joe, Mojo Cantrell from the United States Navy. Thank you for your service, as always, and another great email.
And now we got even more money, Joe, because we just did the roster bonuses.
Exactly. So the last one is from Paul from Shropshire, Mississippi.
It still cracks me up. I don't care. We alluded to where Shropshire is in relative to Birmingham, England, and how that would look in our country. But the fact that he's picked up and ran with it, that's the funny part.
That is great.
It's not what we said about it. It's what he's done with it is what's so great. So,
he says, hey, Happy New Year, everybody. A disappointing way to end the season with the defeat against the Kansas City Chiefs. There was some good stuff in there at times, but too much Keystone Cops football in the first half. Anyway, let's not dwell on that. The new GM is Mike Mayock, and I'm really excited by this. I think him and Coach Gruden are really going to work well together, and the man's knowledge of the college game is outstanding. I totally agree with him. I know the free agency / combine / draft dates are a little way off the minute, but I'm sure they're already started the process of identifying the right people for the future. Think positive, everybody. In light of this, I've started my own preparation by watching the Key and Peele videos again. I think the best players for us to look at are Tyrell Smoochie Wallace, Hingle McCrackleberry, McCrackleberry, and Xmas Jackson Flaxen Waxen. If you haven't seen those videos, you've got to go see them.
So funny. Watch Key and Peele. It's the all-star introductions.
Oh,
it's
my
hilarious.
gosh. Love and best wishes, guys. Love you, Raider Nation. Regards, Paul from Shropshire, Mississippi.
Great job, Paul. We featured those videos because Charles Woodson was the inspiration.
Right.
When Charles Woodson got on and said, Charles Woodson, you know the school. It's so good. But anyways, great stuff there from Paul in Shropshire, Mississippi.
All right, hey, let's hear from Beto.
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 Raider
My
Beto.
bad.
We go.
Hey, it's Raider Beto coming from LA, and I'm glad the season's over because, man, if we had to see some tough losses just like this one, especially to these Kansas City jackasses, man. Well, like I said, I'm glad the season's over. 4-12. We probably have the 3rd overall pick. I think we're tied with the Jets. Another coin flip there. So either way, we're going to pick high. 4th highest cap space in the NFL, so that's good. That interception by Derek Carr, the first one, that was Cook's fault. Like, he was not looking, like, come on. Like, that was Jared Cook's fault. I don't blame Derek Carr. The second one, yeah, I blame him for that. But either way, well, what could you do? You know what I'm saying? We got to fix a lot of positions, especially on offense. I think defense is solid. There's 2 drops by Tahir Whitehead that could have changed the game. I think if the first interception, Tahir Whitehead could have ran into the house. But either way, Dwayne Harris had a good game. Special teams played, I guess, okay, judging from this whole game. But, you know, it is what it is. Next season, we'll be 8-8, hopefully, because if you look at it the whole season, it's just there were so many games that we could have won. Like the Miami game, the Denver game, and in other games that if a couple things went our way, we could have won them, and we could have been at least have higher winning percentage. But either way, it is what it is. I'm gonna start uploading YouTube videos to my YouTube channel called Raider Beto. I'm gonna put my first video up today or tomorrow, so check that out if you want to. And appreciate the season, guys, and you know keep coming up with the videos because you know F the media. They don't know what they're talking about.
All right, great job there, Raider Beto, and thank you for the call, and congratulations on your new endeavor.
Yeah, you know, we're all about helping other guys out, man.
Absolutely.
It's all about the fandom, man.
Shoot us a link, and so we have an accurate channel for you, and we'll retweet you and post it on our Facebook or whatever. Absolutely, we will do that. So, all right, next up, let's go hear from our buddy Alex in Tucson, Arizona.
Uncle Mosh, Murph, Raider Nation, hello, this is Alex Sandoval from Tucson, Arizona. Oh my gosh, I am just cracking up over here. First of all, I'm so excited that we won on Monday. We beat Denver on Monday Night Football, Christmas Eve, last game in the stadium, all that good stuff. And I'm just on YouTube looking at videos and stuff like that and kind of reminiscing on the win. And I came across this video where it's John Gruden mic'd up for the game. Oh my gosh, I was cracking up because there's this part in the video where it shows that Denver Bronco who caught that crazy catch. He catches this ball and he probably shouldn't have caught it. It looked like he dropped it, but he actually caught it. It happened early on in the game, and he catches the ball. He gets up and he starts kind of like making these laughing noises and kind of taunting John Gruden. And John Gruden just gives him the death stare and says, Shut the f*** up. Oh my gosh. I could not believe that he said that. That was just like, that was so funny. Anyways, congratulations to the Raiders who were, there, who could go to the game. Congratulations to, everybody who's, been there through thick and thin. And, I feel like that was a strong win for them.
All right. Great job there, Alex in Tucson. Mosh, I said we weren't going to feature all the mic'd up because it's so long, but I did clip one little part out.
Comes down with it, gets up, nods into the Raider bench.
Shut the up.
That's the best part. That's the best part. Good call there. Good call, Alex. That's a great, man. Again, I can't say it enough. Go watch that John Gruden mic'd up, and Carr too. They're both fantastic. All right, next up, let's hear from our buddy Dave in Ohio.
What's up, Raider Nation? It's Dave out in Ohio. What can I say? That Christmas Eve game was great. Marshawn Lynch lighting the torch, 99-yard punt return, and my kids were in bed waiting for Santa Claus. I had strep throat, sitting there with my dogs, yelling, watching the game. It was awesome. I mean, nothing better. If you get a chance, check out Gruden mic'd up during that game. It was something. It's awesome. I've shared it with a bunch of people here. I mean, even fans that aren't Raiders fans love it. It's great. So, well, we're almost into next season. Hope everybody had a good holiday season. Go Raiders.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, Dave, I love it that he's cheering on the team and hollering with a strep throat there. That's awesome, man, that you hung in there and still, man, strep throat's brutal, man, let alone be hollering at a Raider game because of it. And so, yeah, great stuff there. And, yeah, it's just the mic'd up is fantastic. All right, next up, we're going to hear from our buddy Monster Mash Ken.
Murph, Uncle Mosh, Little Murph. This is Monster Mash Ken. Well, it's a wrap. 2019's done. I'm sorry, 2018's done. On to 2019. It's a disappointing season, and I think that's the best way to sum it up. Everybody had high hopes with Gruden coming back and just with some of the people we put in place. But I think it all starts with Mac, leaving, and then it just kind of had a domino effect from there. Maybe even want to go back as far as saying King getting cut, Marquette King. But it is what it is, I think Gruden's got to build something to put in Vegas, a product that sells, and he's got to put butts in the seats, and he's got to clean. He had a clean house, got to make a mess to clean a mess. Anyway, it is what it is. I think this game tonight, Kansas City is just a powerhouse. They were playing for something, and we weren't. It's hard to go into Kansas City and expect to win. I did think that we would put up more of a fight, and we just got creamed. We got demolished, and it is what it is, and it sucks, and it's a tough pill to swallow, but it kind of just sums up our season. Just the way we started it with all these turnovers, and it just wasn't meant to be. So on to 2019. Anyway, I'd love to see you guys down in Tennessee. I'm really, really going to try to come out there. I think with the 3 picks, if we keep them all, it'll be a lot of fun. Let me know what your plans are. I'd love to support you guys out there with the podcast and as well as the Raiders wherever they end up playing. As far as picks goes, I know I can't stress enough, Raider Nation, do not get your hopes set on one particular player because you're going to be pissed off throughout the summer and the off season because you didn't get what you wanted. Just think of a few players that you're going to be happy with in the top 5. Looks like we're picking 4th, I believe. Personally, I like Pharrell from Clemson. But you know what? Like I said, that's just me. I'm not anybody. Looks like Mayock may be the GM. Seems like he knows rookies. So I hope that works out. And, we definitely need some offensive weapons. I can't stress it enough. We need some playmakers for Derek Carr. And I hope Derek Carr just gets it together because he looked really shaky tonight and it was horrible. I know that we got some offensive rookies on that line and, it kind of, Carr was doing whatever he could do to stay alive in the pocket. And, I know everybody wants Carr to scramble, but it's kind of hard when the ends are coming in at you. Anyway, on to 2019. I wish you guys nothing but health and happiness and, a happy, end to your season as well. And thanks for just putting out great product on the air. I look forward to listening to you guys every week. And, Uncle Mosh, I'm going to get you a gift in the mail, man. I think you need more than a Wilson out there. All right. Take care. God bless. And on to 2019. Raider Nation.
All right, you heard it. He's sending donuts.
Absolutely, that's funny. So, great call, Ken. Man, awesome. First off, appreciate the support as always. Appreciate the compliments, and man, just a great supporter and listener and caller and everything to our show, man. We much appreciate you. So you asked about our draft plans. So we're still kind of kicking around where we're gonna be. We're gonna definitely post up somewhere to do live shows. We're gonna do a live stream. Well, depending on how this camera thing works out, but we'll live stream one way or another. We're definitely gonna record one way or another, and so I've gotten in already to try to inquire about tickets and all that good stuff. So just stay tuned. We're going to get that stuff together as soon as possible. And of course, we will do some sort of listener meetup or whatever, some kind of get together. I know that there are a handful of you at least that are planning on coming into town for the draft. And so, yes.
Yeah, they were talking about places to stay. It's unbelievable.
You got a big house.
Well, yeah. and a wife who scares the hell out of me. who's half my size. I gotta hang on to this one. I finally got a good one, and that's okay because I know none of the exes listen. They didn't listen to me when I was married to them. Why the hell would they listen to me on the radio? Yeah, they can't. I got one that can't even spell podcast.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Oh, but anyway, downtown Nashville has probably got 30,000
it's amazing
hotel rooms. So anywhere, and even
20,000 of them have been built in the last 3 years.
Yeah, and even there's some, even if there people are going online looking over stuff, there's some places out by the airport which are a lot cheaper. Not that they're like right under runway 2, but that area out there has got some stuff that's a lot more economically friendly. And
also like we're like a lot of other major cities. Nashville has a lot of smaller cities surrounding it, like that where we live,
tons of them,
and it's 30-minute drive into downtown. So there's look at Franklin, Tennessee, look at Murfreesboro, look at
Hendersonville or Lebanon, or there's a ton of stuff.
Tons of
just
stuff.
Get out, just Google the map and look at those, and you can call around and type in one of the big named Marriott or whatever, and there's a ton of them around.
Tons of places
within,
to stay.
like you say, within 30 minutes.
Within 30 minutes. So yeah, we will definitely we will have some lists. Heck, we've even kicked around doing something live from King Louie's Taco Shop. And this is news now to King Louie. King Louie, hey, Uncle Mosh and I talked about doing something live from your shop down there. Such a great place, such good food. I still need to take you down there.
Yeah.
Kevin and I went down there, and it was amazing. It was the food was great when Kevin came through town. And so anyway, yes, stay tuned. We will definitely have lots of times to get together. And then I also see in the chat talking about New York. And about having the made men of Raiders Fan Radio get together. And of course, now that Uncle Mosh is an official member of the New Jersey chapter of the Black Hole, we will definitely put that on our list of places to visit when the season starts. But it always depends on scheduling because Uncle Mosh has school and we have, family business to attend to and whatnot, like everybody does through the course of the season. So we got to be strategic on where we go. And it all depends on where it falls on the calendar. So it would be nice if New York is the one, but that will certainly kind of remain to be seen. All right, so next up, let's go from Nashville. We went to Jersey. Now let's go to a pasture in Texas, Uncle Mosh. I don't know what's going on there, but
he cracks me up.
Dogs howling in the autumn wind.
Right.
Oh.
You already know who it is. It's your boy, B-Dog, howling from a pasture in Texas. How's it you guys been, man? It's been, a 1 month long hiatus? I mean, it's been a while. Glad to be back on the radio station. Glad to be watching you guys again. All right, let's cut to the chase. That was a shit show the other day that I watched. I don't know what that was. I mean, come on, man. Like, Derek Carr, I love the man to death, and I'm a Derek Carr apologist just like you, Murph, but come on, dude, there's this thing called ball security. I mean, you might want to try it. No, in all seriousness, ball security, number one thing to work on in the off season. And man, Rayshawn Melvin, I trusted you, and what did you do? You spat upon that trust, man. I trusted you to cover someone that game, and you didn't do it. I'm just disappointed. That's all I have to say. But, I mean, the only thing that kept me from driving a baseball bat into my TV that game was the fact that I don't have a baseball bat. And it was awful. I couldn't watch it. I tried unplugging the TV, tried to go throw it in the trash can, but no. I had to have people hold me back for that. Oh, I was getting mad. I was getting real mad. Oh, man. You wouldn't have seen me when I was mad. You wouldn't have wanted to see me when I was mad. But let's look on the bright side of things. At least the Raiders haven't lost in 2019. There we go. We accomplished something. All right. In all seriousness, it's great to be back. And it's great to see you all again, Mosh, Murph, and wishing Raiders Fan Radio a great 2019. All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
All right, Uncle Mosh.
Okay, so when Eddie Murphy did Delirious like 25 years ago, remember? Was it longer than that? Was it
like
30
40 years ago now? But
okay,
yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
He did this thing about he made a crack about Michael Jackson, or he did the follow-up to Delirious. I don't remember what it was, and he said, "Yeah, I heard Michael's mad at me."
Oh, yeah.
I ain't scared of Michael.
Yeah.
Come on,
Yeah.
Michael. I heard you're looking for me. and I'm not saying, I'm not disparaging B-Dog at all, but he just doesn't sound like he's angry. He's fired up, but people had to hold me back. I love that guy.
He's great, man. He's so funny. I love that, man. Great call.
Capo says B-Dog's new swag is choice.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Very, very funny, man. Great job, B-Dog. Keep coming with those calls, man. You're working
you
your way up the highlight reel, bud.
Absolutely. You make my day, B-Dog.
So, so he mentioned, Rashawn Melvin, and you and I watching that game, Mosh, we were like, oh, boy. Now, granted, that one play was a Joseph.
Wait, who did he mention?
Rashawn Melvin. So Rashawn Melvin, gosh, the one that he Joseph drops down a little bit too far into coverage. He wasn't playing cover 2 over the top in the zone like he was supposed to. But Melvin got juked on the route, then had a chance to catch up, and then took this weird angle away from the receiver. Like he had him. Like the receiver had to slow down to make a play on the ball, and Melvin.
That's his new tune.
Oh, that was rough, man. We're with you, B-Dog. That was a rough end of the year for Melvin. I don't know. Maybe somebody in the chat can answer for us. And Q-Dog mentioned him earlier. Worley is a must-have. I think Worley and Conley are CB 1 and 2 for us in the future and going forward. I don't know why Worley wasn't in the game. I didn't see him on the injury report, so maybe somebody knows why he wasn't playing. Maybe there was a matchup thing they saw, and the coaches just felt it was a better fit to have Melvin in the game. But either, man, it certainly did not work out. Anyways, next up, let's hear from our buddy Emiliano, Big Raider Trucker.
What's going on? The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Big Raider Trucker checking in once again. I want to say, Mosh, Murph, how you guys doing? All right, let's get into it, guys. This season was a show. You know what?
Popular
it is
term
what it
today.
is.
Yeah.
Like us Raider fans say, I guess next year will be our year. Been saying that for a very long time now. All right, anyways, our new general manager, Mayock, I think it's how you pronounce it. Very respected NFL analyst as far as the draft goes. I love how all of a sudden, leave it to the Raiders to be the ugly redheaded stepchild of the NFL. It's like, damn, we could never do anything right. All of a sudden, we get somebody who's respected. John Gruden doesn't know how to draft. It's been shown in his past. So we get somebody who knows how to do it, and all of a sudden, this guy's the worst draft analyst in the world. You just gotta love being a Raiders fan. Anyways, get excited about the picks we got coming up. All this cap space. Put the Antonio Brown to rest. It's not gonna happen. Also, Raider Nation, don't get too hyped on this off season. I know we got a lot of money to spend. I don't see us spending a lot of it. 2019 is the year to go 8-8, be respectable, and then the real fun starts in 2020. All right, guys, let me get out of here. Big Raider Trucker checking out.
Great call, as always, Emiliano, and not because you agree with us, but just an awesome call, as usual, my friend. And so keep them coming. He's another guy, Mosh, that's real close to not being able to win a Sizzler anymore.
That's right.
And so hey, real quick, everybody is jumping in here. They say that Worley went to IR. Shame on me. I missed that. If he got put on IR with a shoulder injury, so I apologize, guys, for not knowing that. I'm not Stephen A., so I'm not going to claim that I did know that.
Right.
You know what I mean? I missed that one. But I want to give you all a quick update because somebody mentioned it in the chat. Daryl Worley put an awesome message out on his social media. It went out on Instagram, and I'm going to read it to you because it's top notch. And he says, Coach John Gruden, I walk up to you every game after the national anthem plays, shake your hand, look you in the eyes, and say thank you. I don't know if you realize why I do it, but I am truly thankful for you believing in not only me, the player, but me, the man. Thank you for giving me another opportunity to play this game. God has blessed me with the talent to play. When I was at one of the lowest points of my life, the phone call came from you, and it changed my life. 2018, Daryl Worley didn't take any losses. They were the greatest lessons of my life. All caps, thank you. That gave me chills.
That's chill bumps,
That's
bro.
freaking awesome, man. That's the kind of guy you want on your football team. That's the kind of guy you want coaching your football team. That is amazing. We are fans of the redemption story, and by all accounts, Daryl Worley, he made a mistake. He made a mistake. We've all made mistakes in our 20s, and at times with substances, and so the fact
and
that
60s,
and yeah,
in the last week.
So how's that New Year's resolution going, Mosh?
Oh,
can't wait for 2020. It's going to be a great year, right?
2020, yeah.
All right, let's that last one here. Let's go to our buddy Ron in Ohio.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Ron calling in. Love the Mayock signing. I think that'll be huge for us, and I think that also goes to the point of there's this narrative out there that Gruden rules with an iron fist. I think it's pretty clear he has final decision making on all the calls because of the nature of his contract, but he's really making moves that show he knows his areas of strength and weakness, and he's bringing people in that surround him and lead the team as a whole to success. So I think this helps that narrative go away that he's rolling with an iron fist or he's the only one making any decisions in that building. I think it's a nice pairing. So have a good one. Happy New Year, everybody. Bye.
Yeah, great call, Ron. Absolutely. I think that it's great. It's nice to, Mayock is not a shy guy. He's a big personality, and it's when you get two alphas like that, like a Mayock and Gruden, you would expect that they're going to clash, but I think that there's an awareness that they're both alphas, and there's an awareness of what your role is and what my role is, and ultimately which one of us really is the alpha of the alphas, right? I think even Mayock recognizes that, look, this is John's game to call. I mean, it's going to be ultimately his decision. We may disagree, and I can, give him all the advice and input and all that, but at the end of the day, it's going to be Gruden.
Look, it goes like, in the military, I learned a long time ago that you may have somebody that outranks you, but you may be the head of a department. So that person in that specific, and they're both alpha males, but if you've got a 3-star general who's the head of a unit, and under him he may have a 4-star general who works for him. That person may outrank you, but you can work for him.
Really?
Yeah. It's not unheard of. Also, with rank, okay, you may have somebody like you may have a major who's the head of a company, and there may be another person of an equal rank, but has more time and grade, so technically they outrank you, but that you may be their boss. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
So
I didn't know that.
That
Wow.
can happen. And when I was thinking about Mayock coming in this position, that's it. Gruden's the coach. He's got his job. This other guy, Mayock's got his job. But he works directly for Gruden, but his job is to be the checks and balances for Gruden. So that's not an unheard of situation. People understand that have seen that. What if you got promoted at your job over, your buddy that you and I both know? you would go to him for advice, knowing
Absolutely.
that that Matt has all that that knowledge and everything. He's your trusted
still
guy.
my mentor.
He's still your mentor, but you could be you technically are his boss.
I got you.
So
That's great.
it happens. Yeah.
That's cool stuff. Good good insight there, Mike.
So I got a sizzler for us.
All right, real quick before you get to that, Ron's leaving and he says he's headed off for his birthday dinner. Well, happy birthday, Ron.
Happy birthday, Ron,
yeah,
man.
Ron,
right on.
Looking all of like 25.
That old?
Yeah. Yeah. He's a youthful 30.
Sorry about that.
I don't know how old Ron is. I don't know.
We don't care.
I'm being silly, but happy birthday, Ron.
Right on. And so we had some great stuff, man. We had Alex kicked us off. Our Raider Beto kicked us off and told us, that he was going to go start his own channel and post some stuff. I can't wait to see it. Alex had a really funny call about Chucky dropping the F-bomb. A whole bunch of people talked about the beep show that was Kansas City. Gruden is the man brought up there, by Ron, as speaking of Ron, how Gruden's, got things in place and he's going for it. The overall general consensus by all of our callers was settle down, people. We got a whole bunch of picks. Settle down.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even Monster Mash Ken wished everybody a happy New Year. Talked about this KC in the summary of the season and is sending me donuts. And I mean, life's good, man. But I got to tell you, I don't think anybody will disagree with me on this week's Sizzler. It had to be the one and only with the great opening, and we're not even sure what it was. He might have been at band practice, or he might have been mucking out a barn or something. And we're not sure what it was, but it was the totally frustrated, disappointed, very funny, and fired up. And I'm going to tell his mama he cussed.
Oh.
But when his take on Carr and his take on Melvin, it just absolutely killed us all. He slayed us. And that goes to our boy B-Dog. B-Dog was so good that Aaron even said, you know what? I'm thinking about moving back to Texas.
Sizzler.
Sizzler.
Sizzler. Sizzler.
Sizzler. Sizzler.
Great job, B-Dog. Excellent job on the call.
B-Dog.
You are the sizzler this week. Y'all keep at it with those sizzlers, with those great calls coming in. Look, I know we're headed into the offseason. Well, not headed. We are in the offseason as Raider fans. But keep the calls coming, please. We love to hear them, and it is our favorite part of the show. And, we got some prizes coming from Dead Pirate Sports, and so we will we'll fire you out some Raiders fan radio gift boxes or something.
Yeah, and just to make Q-Dog happy, because he asks for it a lot. Q-Dog, just for you next week, we're going to do this. Capo asks for it, Capo gets it. We're going to do a Tailgating Too Much featuring B-Dog.
I like it. Okay, deal. All right.
Even though he's not near old enough to drink. It's a futuristic.
Futuristic. Well, now that we're in the office, we'll have a little bit more time because it's tough to cram. We set out every week to do a 90-minute show, and here we are at an hour and 39 minutes already, and it still had more to go. So it's tough for us to get that. But now in the off season, that's the best time for us to do Tailgating Too Much. So we will definitely have those coming up for you this week.
We are Metallica, and we are here for your Oakland Raiders.
You know why we are here, and we ain't playing around today.
From The Walking Dead to errant Jedi Knights, Raiders fans are a rogues gallery.
All right, Murph.
All right, Mosh.
So there's some football going on next week.
There is football. It's not our football,
it's not
but
our
there's
football, so we don't care. So here we go. All right, ready?
Yeah.
All right.
What are you doing? Am I getting
You're doing your favorite thing that you hate to do. Predictions.
Oh, jeez.
All right. Saturday, Indy at Houston. Give it to me.
The most boring game, probably the lowest ratings of the week.
Yep.
And every year, Houston is in the first round of the wild card game. And because of that, just because they're going to have I think Frankengoober, otherwise known as Andrew Luck, is going to see them to a first playoff win in a while. So give me the Indies.
You got it. Seattle at Dallas.
I think that Dallas is highly overrated. Thankfully, one pooper has not thankfully. I hate to wish bad luck on someone, but the way he badmouthed the organization, it doesn't hurt my feelings to see that he went from great to absolutely nothing these past 3 weeks. And I think that Dak Prescott is not enough to carry that football team. Give me Seattle and their defense on the road.
Okay. LAC at Baltimore.
You know, I can't root for the Chargers ever.
Nope,
it's
ever
only
in the history of the world.
Barely easier than that to root for the Ravens, but I still think that at the in the playoffs, you still have to run the football, you still have to play defense, and these guys can play defense amazingly, and they're running their football with Lamar Jackson, who is going to be the youngest starting quarterback in NFL playoff history. Just because of that story alone, give me Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens.
Wow, fantastic. Well, is he older than B-Dog?
Probably. Honestly, not by much. He's 21. B-Dog, I'm guessing. I don't know, 17 maybe?
Yeah.
So ain't by much.
Nice. And the Phillies at the Chicagos.
I hope the Phillies cream them. I mean, come on now. We've already been inundated with enough.
Oh, I know,
Khalil
right?
Mack stuff.
Come on.
And Trubisky's this and Trubisky's that. Can Trubisky just please go out there and throw 4 picks? Give me the Eagles, man, just because I'm rooting for it.
Okay, so your picks are Indy, Seattle, Baltimore, and Philly. You're picking 3 away teams.
Yeah, because I root with my heart, Mosh. These are not heady picks.
No.
These are hearty picks.
All right.
Yeah,
so
that's why I'm so bad at this, because I root for I choose this stuff like a fan.
And we're not going to even talk about the next week because we won't know who's playing who.
No, we'll just go to those 4.
We'll start with those 4.
And next week I might ask you.
And next, okay.
See?
No, bring it on.
Fair's fair.
Bring it on.
Fair's fair.
Yeah.
Let me say that before we even get further down this, I will say this. As a fan, because that's what we are, and that's what I root as a fan, my preferred Super Bowl this year, Brady, Breeze. Give me the 2 Hall of Famers.
Oh, 100%.
Going at
we
it.
talked about that last week. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be great to see those two? And the stupid Vikings last year not only kept us from seeing Brady Breeze, but kept us from seeing Rodgers Brady, which would have been amazing too. Single-handedly, the stupid Vikings broke Aaron Rodgers and then knocked the Saints out on a fluke play. So thankfully, there's no Vikings to get in the way this year. But yeah,
the battle of the old goats.
It would be amazing. Look, these guys are in the twilight of their career. Who knows how much longer they're going to be there? And you know what? I'm a firm believer of, look, and I get excited about the younger guys coming up too. And I know you get tired of seeing the same old guys in there. You get tired. People, they hate on Brady just like they hated on Jordan, just like they hated on Kobe. They hated on you hate on the guys that are there all the time. But there's also a school of thought, Mosh, that in his mind is that, look, you're only going to see this for so long. Like, you're only going to be able to witness the greatness of these players for so long, for like another year or two. So give it to it. You know, look, our team's out of it. Our team is no longer in contention. So at this point, as an NFL fan, I root for the story. As long as it's not a Chief or a Bronco or a Charger or whatever, give me the story. So I'm going to root for Brady Breeze, man.
And you know, and how cool would it be to see Breeze, because he's going to probably get MVP. You know?
I don't know, man. Mahomes.
Yeah, but if Breeze, when exactly is the voting?
Is
it before the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I believe so, right? Doesn't it? I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
Shame on us. That's why we're not analysts. We're fans.
We're fans, exactly.
Yeah. But it's based on the regular season. It's not based on what you do in the playoffs.
Correct.
Which is what a lot of people say is that, well, it should be based on what you ultimately end the season at, where you end up in the ranking of the playoffs and whatnot. But here's, honestly, you know what my vote would be? Because of, not only just because of the potential controversy between the two, but when you're an interior lineman and you get 20.5 sacks.
Oh, yes.
Give it to Aaron Donald, man. Give it to Aaron Donald. Absolutely. Give it to Aaron Donald. That's my vote. But you probably won't get it.
Even though him holding out and all that cost us Mac, but
yeah, I know, right?
Anyway, I said the name.
Gosh, cleanse the palate. All right, there we go. All right. Well, y'all, thank you so much for joining us here for another episode of. Excuse me, I'm burping in the microphone.
Yeah, good one. Yeah, that's my nephew.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us here for another episode of Raiders Fan Radio. I can't scroll up, but thank you, Chris Potts, Emiliano, Aaron the Q-Dog Raider, Monster Mash Ken, Pirate 1975, Coach Randy Henson. What's up? Thank you for joining us, Randy. That's awesome. Bobby Wasabi, did I say that one yet? Sean Garcia, Mojo Raider, Running Bear. What's up, Tim? Hope you're feeling good, buddy. And appreciate everybody. B-Dog there, you just hopped in. Spooky is in there. Thank you all so much for joining us for another episode of Raiders Fan Radio. We will have episode number 111 coming at you next week. You can always find us on the YouTubes. That's youtube.com/Murph's Fan Cave. That's MURFS Fan Cave. Please like and subscribe, hit the bell, do all that stuff, and we'll get this camera thing figured out. And
maybe,
I don't know, but one way or the other, we'll be back here next week. So hopefully, we'll appreciate your patience with us when we did our reboot. And so thanks again for joining us here, and always for what you do to support Raiders Fan Radio. Thank you for I don't know, just helping us out, man. You guys are great. We love the listeners. It makes it such a nice thing for what we do to have the interaction with you all. So thank you for doing what you do for the show. And Uncle Mosh, I think that's all I got. And let's go ahead and get on out of here.
I appreciate it. For Murph, I'm Uncle Mosh, and you've been listening to Raiders Fan Radio, where we took a lighter side journey into the dark side. Remember, nation, what happens in Vegas started in Oakland.
Shut the up.